The Magnaflow Overland series turn-down exhaust is perfect for the 2020 and newer 3.6-liter powered JT Gladiator owner who wants it all. This one gives you great sound, tunable volume levels, and high-quality materials, plus additional clearance for off-roading. Now this system is a bit more difficult to rate, given that you can tune the sound a bit, but in its loudest form, we'll give this a very solid 3 out of 5 on our loudness meter. Clearly, it's going to be a noticeable difference versus stock, but it's not too over the top, making it perfect for that overland adventure rig or your daily driver. Now the 3.6-liter Pentastar V6 that's been ubiquitous in Jeep's lineup for a while can sound pretty good, but in stock form, it's very quiet. It's mostly just some engine noise that you get, especially in the JT because the exhaust is way out the back at the edge of the bed. Magnaflow, however, has solved that for you with this Overland Series catback. And since this is a full catback, it's going to replace your restrictive stock muffler and resonator, leaving your JT with a much needed injection of noise. The tone here, as you heard from the clips at the start of the video, is deeper and has some grumble to it down low, with the sound transforming into more of a race car style wail as the revs rise. It's a pretty cool sound overall, and especially if you've got a 6-speed manual, you can really work it and enjoy it. But again, as you heard from the clips at the start of the video, it's really not overwhelming at all, even inside the cabin. So you can take a long highway drive to get to your favorite trail without getting a headache, and you can also daily drive this without it being a pain in your neck. And there's no drone with this system. Now the key to that is Magnaflow's aptly named no drone technology. So how does this work? On the end of the 18-inch suitcase style muffler that's included with the system, you're going to find one connection that goes to the rest of the piping, and this little one here that is designed to be capped off using one of these two different options right here. Now the idea here is that you can use this and tune the sound. And this big one here with the big Magnaflow logo on the edge, this is the one that's going to cancel the drone. Now this utilizes passive quarter wave noise cancellation, and that is designed to cancel out unwanted obtrusive frequencies that cause drone. So this is basically a little resonator that can be clamped on right here, like so. And this will allow sound pulses to go in here and then come back into the main connection and realign in phase with the other pulses that are already in the system. That's going to give you the volume and the tone that you want without you having to contend with any drone at all from the system. So this setup is perfect for commuting or heading to a more populated campsite and keep things a little bit more subdued, and it's again not going to give you a headache. Or if you're like me and you just want the most noise possible, you can just pop this guy off and then use the little cap right here in its place. That's going to open things up a little bit more and give you that slightly more rowdy exhaust note. Now the muffler itself is also a straight through design, and you've got a perforated tube shaped core inside, but as you can hear, there is quite a bit of packing material in here, and that's going to give you that more subdued exhaust note. However, since it is straight through, this is going to be way less restrictive than your factory exhaust, so you can expect a bit more power and better response as well. Now at the back of the system, you're going to find a turn down style tip that tucks up against the frame rail in basically the same spot as your factory system. But since this is a little bit shorter and you don't have the stock resonator back there, this will tuck up closer to the body of the truck and give you some additional ground clearance and a better departure angle. Now all of this combines to make a system that is perfectly suited to a dual purpose rig. You can easily daily drive your JT with this installed, and then you can take it out on the trail without having to give it a second thought. Construction here is all T409 grade stainless steel, which is all CNC precision manufactured and mandrel-bent, and it's made right here in the USA. The build quality, as we've come to expect from Magnaflow, is pretty good too. Now 409 isn't going to give you the most corrosion protection, but it still will do a very good job at keeping this protected and making it look nice for a long time to come. It's also not going to come at the price of a more expensive system too, plus you're saving a bit because you don't have the tip. Speaking of which, pricing for this one comes in at about $1,100. Now that does put it toward the top end of the category. It's not the most expensive one, but it is up there. Now this is a premium exhaust and you have those nice additional features to go with it, such as the no drone technology resonator and the swappable caps here. And that's something that you won't find on even some of the most expensive catbacks out there. So while this may cost you a bit more than a comparable 409 catback, this is going to give you plenty of customizability and it's going to give you more ground clearance plus a really good sound. So if you can find the room in your budget, this is definitely worth it. It's going to last you a long time and it's going to make your JT sound awesome. Installation gets a 2 out of 3 on our difficulty meter and the job should take you around 2 hours to complete. This is designed to be a totally bolt-on setup that will utilize your factory exhaust hanger locations and it doesn't require you to make any permanent modifications to your Jeep. Now you might spend a little bit of extra time playing around with these two different options to get the sound exactly the way that you want it, but the overall installation is very straightforward and actually quite simple and it comes with everything you need to get it done. That said, let's head on out to the shop and we'll walk you through the process step by step.
For this install, you'll need an impact, a ratchet, a 10, a 13, a 15, and 18 millimeter socket, and a socket extension. Today we're going to be installing an exhaust on our Gladiator. But before we get into that, let's watch a quick video of how to uninstall it.
Okay guys, first step obviously is we're going to have to remove our factory exhaust. Now we have our Gladiator up on a lift to give you guys some better angles to show you exactly what we're doing underneath the Jeep. And the way we're going to do this is going to preserve our factory exhaust. If you don't care about your factory exhaust, it might be easier just to cut it off, but we're going to show you how to get this off while preserving the piping. So let's go ahead and get started. All right guys, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the skid plate here, and that's so we can drop the front end of the exhaust down. It'll make it a little bit easier to kind of work its way out. The factory exhaust is basically one piece from the Y pipe all the way back to the tailpipe. So what we're first going to do is we have a 13 mil bolt or a nut right here we're going to remove, and then we have 4 18 millimeter bolts here and then 2 up front here that we're going to remove, and that'll let us get the skid plate down. All right, like I said guys, that one we just did was a 13 millimeter and the next 4 are all going to be 18 millimeter sockets you're going to need. All right guys, now before I do the front 2, make sure you're supporting it with your hand because once you loosen these, the skid plate's going to want to drop on you. All right guys, now this point back is what we're going to be removing. So this clamp here we're going to loosen. You're going to need a 13 mil socket for this ball clamp. Now, unlike a regular flat clamp, these ball clamps have a kind of a curved edge that kind of cup around the end of the flange here. So you have to loosen it quite a bit in order to slide this out eventually. So we have that pretty good and loose, so we're going to move to the next step. All right guys, now we're going to pull back on this lock tab. This is just kind of to prevent the clamp from sliding at all. So just get a screwdriver in there, pull that back. All right guys, now we're right near the tailpipe, and this is the rearmost hanger. We're going to remove this bracket because it is the one bracket that is pointing in an opposite direction from the other hangers further forward on the exhaust. I'm going to use a 13 mil socket on these 2 bolts as well. All right guys, now just to get it out of our way, we're gonna pull this hanger off. You're gonna have to pull it out a little bit and rotate it down. There's this little tab right here that hooks into the frame rail, so you need to get it away from there. And you should be able to just pull this out like that. All right guys, now go ahead and assemble the tool that comes with your Jeep. We're going to lower our spare tire, get that out of the way, and then also remove the spare tire guard to finish getting out our exhaust pipe. Now this tool basically goes into a plastic sleeve that's behind the bumper here. Once you get that in, you can't twist it by hand, then you know you're on the, it's kind of like a bolt back in there that the end of this tool goes on, and we're going to use this just like a socket wrench. And then the lug wrench here has a square opening in it. Put that in the end here. All right, with a bunch of slack let out, guys, you don't want to drop it all the way to the ground. You want to be able to get a hand underneath your tire. Lift your tire up. And there's a black bracket the tire rests on. Slide it up the cable and get it through the lug hole. All right guys, now to remove the heat shield that protects our spare tire, you're gonna have 5 bolts. They're all 10 millimeter. There's 3 up here that are gonna be very hard, if not impossible for you guys to see on camera here, but we're gonna take those 3 out first. All right, and then we have the last 2 right here, again, 10 millimeter. All right guys, now at this step, we only have 2 hangers that are holding our exhaust pipe up, and they are both pointing towards the front, which means with the help of my friend back here, we're gonna slide the entire pipe backwards out of these 2 hangers and then drop it down and actually pull it forward to clear the rear axle.
Welcome back. Now that we've uninstalled the exhaust, we can go ahead and install the new one. Now before we actually install the exhaust on the car, we're gonna wanna get this portion of the exhaust ready. So with the kit, you get 2 options, a resonator or a cap that just sits over this part. I mean, the resonator sits here as well, but this is a resonator. I highly recommend putting the resonator on. Obviously, it's up to your disclosure on whether you want a resonator on there or not. But since this is a 6-cylinder, the resonator is going to help out a lot. So we're going to take one of our supplied clamps, and to tighten this bolt down, we're going to be using a 15 millimeter socket and an impact. After that, we're going to loosely tighten our midsection to the front section. You're going to take a hose clamp, and to tighten this down, we're going to be using a 15 millimeter socket with an impact. Next, we're going to install the exhaust onto the truck. So you're going to have 2 exhaust hangers here. That's going to be a little bit hard to see on camera, but essentially the same way you took the old exhaust off, that's the way we're going to be putting it on. So I'm going to lift this up, line that hanger, this hanger with those 2. I'm going to pull it back. And while doing that, I'm going to slide this exhaust clamp over so that the exhaust will be fully supported. Now that we have this exhaust in here, we're going to tighten down this clamp with a 13mm socket, an impact, and a socket extension. Now we can install the rear portion of the exhaust. So we're going to take the exhaust hanger from our old exhaust, slide it on just like that, and we're going to take our supplied exhaust clamp and slide it over just like this. And we're going to snug down this nut so this stays in place so we can line these up. To tighten this down, you're going to need a 15mm socket and an impact. This next step is going to be a little bit hard to see, but we're going to reinstall the bolts for this exhaust hanger. You're going to use a 13mm socket, an extension, and a ratchet to tighten this down. Now that we have the exhaust in place where we want it, we can go back and tighten down all the exhaust clamps with a 15mm socket and an impact. Now we're going to install the differential skid plate cover. You're going to need 4 of these big bolts, and you should have 1 of these small nuts. So I'm going to thread them in by hand, and then we'll come back and tighten them down. Next, we're going to tighten down this nut with a 13mm socket, and then the bolts we're going to be tightening down with an 18mm socket. All of the sockets we're going to use are going to be accompanied by an impact. Now it's time to install the heat shield. We're going to be using a 10mm socket and a ratchet. For the top 2 nuts, they're going to be really hard to see on camera, but again, we're installing it the same way we took off, so it's in reverse order. We're going to be using the same 10mm socket and a ratchet to tighten down those up there. Lastly, it's time to reinstall the spare tire. So we're going to put it back in the same way we took it out. Just going to slide that piece through here. Then we're going to use the tool we assembled earlier to raise the spare tire back into the car.
That's going to wrap it up here for our review and install of the Magnaflow Overland Series single turn down exhaust system fitting 2020 and newer 3.6 liter powered JT Gladiators. Thanks so much for watching, and for everything Jeep, keep it right here at ExtremeTerrain.com.